morning, everyone. I'm your shorter, less good-looking, but darker-haired substitute for Glenn Hughes. Better hair in general, if I'm being honest. Thank you and welcome to the 66th International Convention of Allied Sport Fishing Trades, better known as ICAST. As Phil mentioned, we continue to celebrate ASA's 90th anniversary all year, where our mission is to look out for the interests of the sport fishing industry and the entire recreational fishing community. Thanks again to our board of directors and the entire ASA staff who work hard and smart for you every day in DC and around the country. This morning, I'll provide an overview of the state of the industry and the association. Then I'll get into some of the important fisheries policy issues that impact all of us. As uncertain as the economy has been over the last 36 months, ASA has remained solid with record membership and trade show revenue. That reinforces the continued strength and perseverance of the industry. When we saw declining tackle wholesale sales in 2022, we projected ASA membership might also decline. On the contrary, revenue grew 3% with more than 100 new or reactivated members in 2023. ICAST saw a tremendous 13% increase in pre-registration, and the number of exhibitors is also up 13%, including 189 first-time exhibitors. Yesterday's On the Water product demo day was the largest to date, with 60 exhibitors sharing their new products with hundreds of retailers and media. The new fly fishing area on the show floor is sold out. In addition, we set up the new fly shop booth, along with fly tying and casting demonstrations at the fly casting pond, and 6 new Best of Category awards. Credit goes to our trade show VP, Blake Swango, and his team for continuing to grow and innovate the world's largest fishing tackle trade show. Let's talk about what's going on in your world. On the whole, public sentiment about the state of the economy is not so good. Research from the Associated Press shows that only 24% of Americans think the nation's economic conditions are in good shape. A Federal Reserve survey tells us that 35% of Americans say they are worse off than they were last year, while 19% say they're better off. Reuters shared that among Americans that have not yet retired, only 31% consider their retirement savings on track, down from 40%. Also, 18% of those respondents rated the national economy as good or excellent, down from 50% in 2019. All that is why we've brought in former NASA astronaut Mike Massimino to speak with you about perseverance and overcoming problems. The roller coaster we've all been on since the start of the COVID pandemic hasn't stopped. As we've tried to get used to some of the issues regarding inflation, staffing, and cost of goods, we probably weren't quite prepared for the continued interest rate hikes or for the wholesale business turning off for the second half of last year. Fortunately, sales at retail do tell a little different story. Our 2023 retail market size report, produced by Southwick Associates, said that equipment sales in 2022 for independent retailers were relatively flat across the country. While there was slight growth in the Midwest, there was a decline in the Northeast, Southeast, and Pacific. When we asked what issues provided the most positive and negative impact, they told us new products drove sales, while the poor economy was the biggest deterrent. The MPD group, now called Circana, collects point-of-sales data from the major retailers, which make up more than 50% of the overall tackle sales across the nation. Results show us that from January to May of this year, fishing equipment retail sales were relatively flat compared to 2022, off only 0.1%, while unit sales dropped 5.4%. There is some good news out there. Many of you have seen a nice uptick in sales in May and June, and the S&P 500 enjoyed a 14-month high last month. The prediction of a recession this year was greatly exaggerated. Most exciting is the information that Dave just shared from their annual report showing an increase in anglers last year. It's great to see that the number of kids between the ages of 6 and 17 has increased by 2.5 million over the last 10 years, while Hispanic participation is up 45% over that same time. And let's remember that 42% of first-time anglers are women. Ultimately, we need to get the kids and families out on the water. They may not be the big buyers of equipment in the next 6 months, but neither were you when you first started out. We need to take advantage of the tools RBFF has on their TakeMeFishing.org website and support local community fishing efforts. And be sure to share all the great fishing videos available that get kids and families excited. Your avids may care about the 18.5 ball bearings you have in your reel, but the rest of the kids and families just want experiences. Please post experiences on your emails, social media, advertising, at events, wherever there are kids. Then take a few with you again and again and again. I want to pause and take a moment to thank all of you in this room for being here to support ICAST and therefore support the work that we at ASA do to safeguard the interests of the sport fishing industry. All of your ICAST booth fees, membership dues, and sponsorship dollars are used to support our work to promote fishing participation, access, conservation, and your businesses. Not many people take the time to think about it, but fishing is one of the most heavily regulated activities out there. And to be clear, we need regulations to ensure fish populations are healthy and sustainable, and as businesses, we need reasonable regulations to help ensure a level playing field. However, our industry is dealing with government overregulation on several fronts. For starters, there are active proposals to establish severe speed restrictions on boats above 35 feet, which would effectively place the areas of the ocean you see on this map off limits for over half the year. We're continuing to push back against federal and state actions to prohibit lead fishing tackle. We're navigating through a variety of complicated trade issues such as tariffs, excise tax slippage, Prop 65, and PFAS. And if you aren't aware of PFAS, also known as forever chemicals, you need to be. Multiple states have deadlines coming up in the next few years that would impose restrictions on consumer products that contain PFAS. And the more we're learning, the more we're discovering these chemicals are extremely widespread. Of course, conservation remains a priority, and we're actively involved in important efforts to promote aquatic resource conservation, including stopping the spread of aquatic invasive species, ensuring fisheries are a priority within this year's Farm Bill, and helping to pass the Recovering America's Wildlife Act. Your government affairs team at ASA is hard at work on dozens of issues at a given time, actively working with policymakers and partners to help shape positive outcomes. Despite all the challenges, we've had some recent successes, including helping to pass the Drift Net Modernization and Bycatch Reduction Act, defeating a proposed ban on lead fishing tackle in Minnesota, supporting record funding for Everglades restoration, ensuring there have been no 30 by 30 fishing closures, at least not yet, and stopping the proposed pebble mine. As great as our staff are, and we do have an outstanding team, we can't do it by ourselves. We need your help. Help can take many forms, but I want to show you a recent example where we partnered with SIMS to promote a bill we're working on called the Youth Coastal Fishing Program Act. SIMS has been pointing their hundreds of thousands of social media followers to our Keep America Fishing Action Alert. Let's show one of their posts.
We got a net. Give me it! I'm a pro netter! Come on! Brody, do not rip! Don't rip! Guys, this is a massive striper. Get on. Watch out, Brody. Watch out. If it wasn't for me! Oh my God! I couldn't fit in the net. Oh! Holy Dude, someone run to get the parents.
I'm a pro netter. It's something we should all aspire to be one day. That video warms your heart and reminds us why we all fell in love with this sport to begin with. But it's especially important because Sims tied it directly back to the work we at ASA are doing to help ensure the experience these kids had will be available for future generations to come. Other industry partners, including AFCO and the Qualified Captain, have similarly been promoting our policy issues, which is a huge help. Most of you have substantially broader reach to consumers than we do, so I challenge you to help us get the message out. Be sure you're signed up for Keep America Fishing alerts, and when you get them, act on them and spread the word to your friends, family, colleagues, and customers. Get involved within ASA. Attend our Sport Fishing Summit, attend local fisheries policy meetings, host elected officials at your facility. Reach out to me, and I'm happy to work with you on how to get involved. We sometimes take fishing for granted and assume that it'll always be there, but if we don't stay on top of the many issues that impact fishing, we as an industry will suffer a death by 1,000 cuts. The striper that kid hooked wasn't around because the season was closed or the population tanked or the tackle they used had been regulated to the point it was no longer affordable, or a host of other reasons that could result in these opportunities slipping away. Past generations have entrusted us to carry this tradition on, so let's not let them down.